Picture it, the year 1980, the year that brought the craze of the Rubik's Cube and the debut of the pill popper himself, Pac-Man. Ronald Reagan was your new U.S. president, and Magnum P.I. starring Tom Selleck premiered on CBS television. More info on 1980 right after this. 1980, back when everybody in the world wanted to know who shot JR in the television series Dallas. Post-it notes go on sale to the public. They took taking notes and shenanigans to a whole new level. On June 1st in Atlanta, Georgia, Ted Turner found CNN. It was the first 24-hour news network available to cable subscribers in the United States and Canada.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
The United States decides to boycott the Moscow Olympics, and war breaks out between Iraq and Iran. The Beatles' John Lennon was shot and killed by Mark Chapman. He was shot 5 times outside the Dakota as he was heading home with Yoko Ono from a recording studio. The United States defeats the Soviet Union in ice hockey, what was labeled the Miracle on Ice. It was called this because the Soviet Union had won the gold medal in 5 of the 6 previous Winter Olympic Games, and they were the favorites to win once again in Lake Placid. A severe summer heat wave in southern United States causes 1,117 deaths in 20 states. The United States passes a crude oil Windfall Profits Tax Act to tax high profits by oil companies. The killer clown, known as John Wayne Gacy Jr., is sentenced to death for the murder of 33 boys and young men. It took 14 years to execute Gacy by lethal injection. 6.0 earthquake strikes southern Italy, causing the death of more than 3,000 people. Arthur McDuffie was a black insurance salesman and Marine. McDuffie was beaten to death by 4 police officers after a traffic stop. After the officers were tried and acquitted on charges including manslaughter and evidence tampering, a riot broke out in the black neighborhoods of Overton and Liberty City on the night of May 17th. Riots continued until May 20th, resulting in at least 18 deaths and an estimated $1 million in property damage. Hurricane Allen, which started on July 31st, lasted all the way to August 11th. It affected Texas, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Jamaica, and Haiti, causing $1.57 billion in damage. Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia, gains independence. Ronald Reagan is elected President of the United States.
Ronald Reagan, the actor?
Japan becomes the world's largest auto-producing country. Spain and the United Kingdom agree to reopen the border between Gibraltar and Spain that has been closed since 1969.
69, dudes!
Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, Superman 2, and 9 to 5 come out in the theaters. Digital Equipment Corporation, Intel, and Xerox introduced the DIX standard for Ethernet. 1980 is the beginning of the first GPS epoch. A GPS epoch is a continuous time system for all satellites and observation systems. It is presented in seconds since January 5, 1980. The Minnesota North Stars ends the Philadelphia Flyers NHL record 35-game unbeaten streak. The last broadcast of the Rockford Files is on NBC. Paul McCartney from the Beatles is arrested at Tokyo International Airport for possession of marijuana. He's sent to jail for 9 days before being deported. NASA launches FLT SATCOM-3. It was used by the United States Navy for communication between aircraft, ships, submarines, and ground stations. Super Bowl 14 played in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. The Pittsburgh Steelers beat the LA Rams 31-19. Terry Bradshaw from the Pittsburgh Steelers was the quarterback and also the MVP. The Cleveland Cavaliers beat the LA Lakers 154-153 in quadruple overtime. The soap opera Love of Life ends after a 28-year run. Rick Barry from the Houston Rockets is the first in NBA history to score 8 three-pointers in a game. The U.S. launches Solar Maximum Mission Observatory to study solar flares. 37 million gallons of oil spilled in an oil tanker explosion off of Pylos, Greece happened. Future Hockey Hall of Fame right wing Gordie Howe scores in the third period to become the first NHL player to score 800 career goals as the Hartford Whalers beat the St. Louis Blues 3-0 at the Springfield Civic Center. The first nuclear submarine, the USS Nautilus, is decommissioned. Earth satellites record gamma rays from remnants of supernova N49.
Champagne supernova in the sky.
Ford Motor Company is found innocent in the death of 3 women in a fiery Pinto. A Polish airliner crashes, kills all 87 people on board. 22 of those are U.S. amateur boxers. The Vostok rocket explodes on the launch pad while being refueled. It killed 50 people. ABC's nightly Iran hostage crisis program is renamed Nightline.
This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
Mount St. Helens becomes active after 123 years. In boxing, Larry Holm TKOs Leroy Jones in 8 for the WBC title in Las Vegas, Nevada, while Mike Weaver KOs John Tate in 15 for the WBA belt in Knoxville, Tennessee. President Jimmy Carter deregulates the banking industry. In its first full season in the NHL, Wayne Gretzky scores for Edmonton in a 1-1 tie with Minnesota North Stars to become the youngest player to reach 50 goals at 19 years and 2 months of age. Jimmy Carter breaks relations with Iran during the hostage crisis. Arthur Ashe retires from professional tennis. Cuban President Fidel Castro announces he is opening the Mariel port for Cubans to leave. About 125,000 leave in the next 5 to 6 months. In the NFL draft, Oklahoma's running back Billy Sims is picked first by the Detroit Lions. Juliana, Queen of the Netherlands, releases her crown. Princess Beatrix Wilhelmina Armgard becomes queen.
Hey, Queen.
The South African government bans Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2, being blamed for inciting riots among pupils. Black children who boycotted schools because of the inferior education standards had adopted the song as their anthem. The song includes children chanting the chorus, "We don't need no education." The World Health Organization declared smallpox eradicated, the only infectious disease to achieve this distinction. This remains among the most notable and profound public health successes in history. Maxie Anderson and her son Christian launched a helium balloon called the Kitty Hawk from Fort Baker, California, and landed on May 12th at St. Fletcher, Quebec, Canada, the first trans-North American nonstop balloon flight. The slasher horror film Friday the 13th is released in the United States. Pete Rose steals second, third, and home in one inning for the Philadelphia Phillies. In the 34th NBA championship, the LA Lakers beat the Philadelphia 76ers 4-2. Brian May of the rock group Queen collapses on stage with hepatitis.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
710 families in Love Canal area, which is in Niagara Falls, New York, are evacuated because of chemical dumping. Drummer Peter Criss quits rock band Kiss. The horror film The Shining is released based on a book by Stephen King. Jacek Wiszola of Poland sets a high jump record of 7 feet 8 inches, or 2.35 meters. The Gwangju Uprising was a popular uprising in the city of Gwangju, South Korea. It's estimated that around 2,000 people were killed during this period. Gwangju citizens took up arms by robbing local armories and police stations after Cheonam University students were demonstrating against the martial law government. They were fired upon, killed, raped, and beaten by government troops. Larry Bird beats out Magic Johnson for the NBA Rookie of the Year. ESPN begins televising College World Series games. Jeff Norman runs the world record for the 50K in 2 hours, 48 minutes, and 6 seconds.
I was running.
Comedian Richard Pryor suffers burns from freebasing cocaine. Representative John Jenneret Jr., a Democrat from South Carolina, is indicted in the Abscam investigation. The UN Security Council calls for South Africa to free Nelson Mandela. Musical comedy film Blues Brothers with Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi premieres in Chicago. The U.S. Supreme Court rules new forms of life created in labs could be patented because DNA sequences altered by humans are not found in nature. The David Letterman Show debuts on NBC TV daytime. The U.S. revives draft registration. Oh Canada officially becomes a national anthem of Canada. The comedy film Airplane premieres.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Willie Jones is hospitalized for heat stroke with a record temperature of 46.5 degrees Celsius or 115.7 degrees Fahrenheit. Johnny Bench hits his 314th home run as a catcher, which breaks Yogi Berra's record. Billy Carter, the brother of U.S. President Jimmy Carter, registers as a foreign agent of the Libyan government after it was revealed that they paid him hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Secret agent man.
Ronald Reagan is nominated for U.S. President by the Republicans in Detroit. Billy Joel's Glass Houses album tops the U.S. charts, featuring It's Still Rock and Roll to Me. The federal court voids the Selective Service Act, pretty much known as the draft, as it does not include women. The 22nd Summer Olympic Games open in Moscow, Russia, led by the United States. 66 nations boycotted the event because of the Soviet-Afghan War. The 67th Tour de France is won by Joop Zoetemelk of the Netherlands. Jean-Claude Dreyer climbs the Eiffel Tower in 2 hours and 18 minutes. Gerd Wessig of West Germany becomes the first male to set a high jump record at the Olympics of 2.36 meters or 7 feet 9 inches. The Democratic Convention in New York City nominates Jimmy Carter and Walter Mondale for president. Charles Finley sells the Oakland A's MLB franchise for $12.7 million to Walter Haas Jr. He is the owner and CEO of Levi Strauss. John Burgess plants a bomb at Harvey's Resort Hotel in State Line, Nevada. The world's longest road tunnel, St. Gotthard in the Swiss Alps, opens. The U.S. college football's longest losing streak of 50 games ends for Macalester College in St. Paul.
4 touchdowns in 1 game.
Chile adopts its constitution. Blizzard of Oz, the debut solo album by English rock musician Ozzy Osbourne, is released in the UK. Bob Marley's last concert was at Stanley Theater in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He died less than 8 months later. Marvin Hagler defeats Alan Minter to claim boxing's World Middleweight Championship in London. They had to be escorted away by police after a riot forms. Carl Sagan's 13-part Cosmos premieres on PBS. The Oakland A's outfielder Rickey Henderson sets the American League stolen base record with his 97th in the A's 5-1 win over Chicago White Sox. He also breaks Ty Cobb's mark of 96 set in 1915. Iran rejects a truce call from Iraqi President Saddam Hussein.
Hey, relax, guy. Trust me.
Cosmonauts Rumen and Popov break the space endurance record of 176 days. 38-year-old Muhammad Ali comes out of a 2-year retirement to challenge undefeated world heavyweight champion Larry Holmes at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. Ali pounded on Holmes for 10 rounds before his corner threw in the towel. ABC premieres the cartoon Thundar the Barbarian. The first consumer use of home banking by computer by United American Bank in Knoxville, Tennessee. The Philadelphia Phillies win their first World Series in their 98-year history. The Dallas Mavericks open the debut NBA season with a 103-92 victory over interstate rival San Antonio Spurs. George Brett is forced out of the World Series with
Hemorrhoids. Ow, 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 ow.
Republican candidate Ronald Reagan is elected President of the United States, defeating incumbent Democrat U.S. President Jimmy Carter by a landslide. The U.S. spacecraft Voyager 1 sends back the first close-up pictures of Saturn. WHHM Television in Washington, D.C. becomes the first African-American public broadcasting television station. CBS Television bans a Calvin Klein jean ad featuring Brooke Shields. 2 months after the death of drummer John Bonham, Led Zeppelin announces that they will disband. On December 8th of 1980, the Bravo Network premieres on cable TV. The U.S. copyright law is amended to include computer programs. Apple makes its initial public offering on the U.S. stock market. 38 years later, to become the first U.S. company valued at over $1 trillion. Raging Bull, starring Robert De Niro, is released in the United States. AC/DC frontman Bon Scott passes away following a heavy night of drinking in London. In Kansas City, Missouri, the first Showbiz Pizza opens. But ever since 1992, all of them are rebranded as what you kids now know as Chuck E. Cheese. In the United States, a Silver Thursday market crash occurred. It was an infamous trading day in which the price of silver collapsed. It was caused by the failed attempt of 3 brothers. These brothers were the heir to a large oil fortune, and at their peak, these brothers had accumulated roughly 33% of the world's supply of privately held silver. After winning the Boston Marathon, Rosie Ruiz was stripped of her award when she was exposed as a fraud. 6 men rigged the Pennsylvania lottery, including the host of the live TV drawing Nick Perry, and what becomes to be known as the Pennsylvania Lottery Scandal. The Australian rock band AC/DC releases their album Back in Black. Thanks for watching the 1980 edition of Time for the Facts. If there's a year that you'd like to see next, put it in the comments below. Help us out by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Also hit the little bell notification so we know when our next video comes out.